Okay, guys, for the last installment of the notes, you're going to refer to the note sheet that I printed out for you, or gave to Miss Palma to print for you. It says the elements of theater and film of the absurd. So we're going to start with lack of horizon of significance. Now, in order to understand the lack of something, you need to know what it is in the first place. It was addressed in a very detailed manner in the lecture, so I'm not too worried about explaining it to you. But essentially, horizon of significance is what we are used to as readers, as an audience, as movie watchers. It is the context in which a world is established. Now, it doesn't always have to be the same as the world we know, but for example, like let's say you're watching Harry Potter. There are still rules and boundaries that establish that as its own world. If you watch that show Once Upon a Time on Sundays, there are rules of the fairy tale world. It's the context in which any world is created so that you, as a watcher or as a reader, can understand that world, understand the characters, why they behave the way that they do, etc., etc. I think it's best said in the lecture, and I'm going to refer to a few lines which start on like the first full page. It says that traditional drama presents human actions in a social context, a normal situation that is upset. We know literature and we know drama to be the basic introduction of protagonists, climax, conflict, climax, and an ultimate resolution. All of those help to establish this horizon of significance. It's the consistent logic of both the world and the actions of the main characters. That's horizon of significance. It's what makes the world significant on its own. However, in theater of the absurd, that horizon of significance is completely and utterly absent. So there is no logic to the world. There are no boundaries. There are no rules. There isn't necessarily an explanation for certain characters' actions, reactions, etc., etc. So when you are looking at both Rosencrantz and Guildenstern and then O Brother, Where Art Thou, you are looking for that lack of horizon of significance. How is it that the world doesn't connect to the characters? How is it that the world in and of itself doesn't make sense? How are you as an audience unable to identify with the world or understand its characters? Okay? Moving on from that. You have powerlessness. This pertains directly to the characters of the play. All right, they have no power over their actions. They also have no power over their own words. It's almost like an unwritten understanding that they know their characters in a play and that they must succumb to the writer's script. They are basically sponges, exactly as Hamlet calls them in his play, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern, as well as the player. But they know that there is no such thing as free will or choice. It's all about fate. They believe that their destiny is written for them, no pun intended, even though puns are a big part of theater of the absurd, which we'll get to in a second. Lack of memory. That's understandable. Rosencrantz spends more time contemplating his toenails than he does his own identity and who he is as a person. The characters are interchangeable. They don't remember their names. They don't remember where they're going or where they're coming from or what they're supposed to be doing. So there's this complete and utter lack of identity. Not only will they confuse themselves with one another and their past, others will confuse them as well. And you got a hint of that when reading Hamlet. Use of play. This is what I told you is essential for theater of the absurd. We're always waiting for some sort of finality instead of just waiting and passing the time. The characters in theater of the absurd find games to play while they're waiting for whatever the finality may be. In this particular instance, you are going to see various games established, most predominantly the coin tossing game, as well as like word association, an attempt at philosophical gameplay between Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. Then you have dramatic humor. This essentially is dramatic irony. The reason it's called dramatic humor is that irony, by definition means a feigned ignorance. Here in theater of the absurd, the ignorance is real. It's not fake. So that's what makes it different. So it's not called dramatic irony. It's called dramatic humor, but it's essentially the exact same definition. So if you want to look, I'm actually going to send a copy of the notes that I actually have, my lecture notes for this chart, and maybe you guys can print that out. But you are looking at giving the spectators an idea of what's going on, and the characters have no idea. So it's, you know, you're more knowledgeable. Really? Hold on. There's no babysitter for this point, so let me show you. Bennett, can you say hi? Can you say hi? Mr. Impatient? Say hi to everybody. Okay, say goodbye. Okay, so that's one of my lovies that I'm obviously home with. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read you the literal definition for dramatic irony. You guys can get this offline. It's not from Wikipedia. It's from a literary source, so make sure you don't get just some random definition. You get a literary definition. But dramatic irony, this type of irony is the device of giving the spectator an item of information that at least one of the characters in the narrative is unaware of, at least consciously, thus placing the spectator, us, a step ahead of at least one of the characters. This will happen with all of the characters in Theater of the Absurd. You as the audience will always be one step ahead of all of the characters because they are too ignorant to pick up on clues or to make decisions for themselves. Last but not least, you have wordplay. Because words are what is used to explain literature and create it in Theater of the Absurd, the words are just as absurd as the context of the play. So I told you before there's that almost unwritten understanding that the characters know that they're characters in a play, that it is a screenplay. They're going to often refer to the audience. They're going to make eye contact with the audience. They're going to look off the side of the stage. And they're going to use words to kind of mock their own situation. So wordplay is going to be very, very essential. And just so you guys know that boundary that's being broken between characters and audience that I keep referring to, that, you know, characters can look at the audience and refer to them as other people, that's called the disassembling of the fourth wall. So in Theater of the Absurd, there is also no fourth wall. There's nothing that divides the audience from the stage. You're considered one. And that's pretty much everything for Theater of the Absurd. So you guys should be in a good place to read the play. If you have questions, you know, you can go to Miss Palma. She has all my notes in my copy of the text. But you can also email me anything that you don't understand or anything you want to talk more about, and I can take care of that for you. So I hope you guys are having a great time. Have a great spring break, and I will see you all on April 30th. And I think that's it. I'll show you the baby once more just because he's really cute and he should make the end of your day really good. Hold on. Bennett, can you say hi? Huh? I don't know if I even have your face. There we go. Yeah. Say hi, Chunky Monkey. Yeah. All right, say bye. Bye. Bye, Shakespeare class.